He turns in, sees her. Dark eyes shine in the light's essence. She smiles at him. Her subtle eyes twinkle temptation while he approaches. The air goes still. She listens. She stops. Waits, watches, in anticipation. He pulls her closer to his strong, firm body. She lets her guard down and leans in so closely. They dance to each other's soul rhythm. They tango. It's tango. Now that you know the game, imagine yourself in the bar and see, hear, feel his eyes, her dress, details about
Cool.
it all.
Oh, I have to change it. I don't live in Venice anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's good. We'll change that.
Yeah. I no longer live with a husband. Boy, I haven't updated in 6 years. Oh my gosh. Business.
Oh, well, I'll just take that off. That's cool.
Yeah, some other things have changed.
Bueno,
but-
bueno, muy agradecido por...
When did I send you that? Or is that on my website?
This?
That bio?
I don't
Oh
remember.
my.
Sorry, I came in at the very end of the of the video.
Well, people have to watch it then.
We'll watch it. We'll see some stuff.
Yeah.
Da, da, da.
That-
I'm going to be looking at the screen,
Okay.
talking to you. Do you mind?
No, I'll look at the screen talking to you.
All
It's
right.
almost like Zoom, in-person Zoom. Huh?
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Yeah, cool. If you guys can't hear either Ellen or I, just let me know, but probably be fine. This is Ellen Burr, my guest. Hello.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Good afternoon, Pierre Chambers. Wow, you're on again. This is unusual, Pierre. Great. Then I just have to get another window going so that people on YouTube can show up as well for comments.
Oh, good.
And let's see. Yeah. So Ellen decided to come over today, which is cool because I think maybe there have been two other people. Do you know Michael C. Ford by any chance? The poet?
No,
You should know him.
somebody I should meet. Good to know.
Yeah, he's great. He's a real wonderful character and been a friend of mine for a long time. And you know, he's kind of, I call him a jazz poet, but he's not exactly a jazz poet, but he does a lot of things on jazz, and he's really cool, and he has a whole career in life. You know, he's older and he's done poetry.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to take out my book because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more names and information I'm going to want to write down. And I already forgot his name. John C. Ford.
Close. Michael C. Ford.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, Joyce. It's a live guest. Woohoo. Ellen and I met through Stephen Nachmanovich, who I've mentioned and I've had on the show. He's the author of one of my Bible books through my life, Free Play, Improvisation in Life and the Arts. Yeah, that was just one of those books. I started in college, just, opening any page, and it was talking directly to me. And then years later, here, I invited him over and set up a bunch of workshops for him. It was great. And he's an improvisational violinist, too. And as long as we're talking about Stephen, how did you meet Stephen? I think you told me, but I can't remember.
It's so funny. I was trying to think of that as I was coming over. I was like, I know she's going to ask me how we met. I know
how
when.
Did we meet?
I know when we met and when we played. Yeah. We played. We were improvising a lot when he was writing that first book.
Oh.
He was living in Venice, and I was living in Topanga.
Okay.
So that was like the mid to late 80s. And I think we met because of Barbara Smith. Yes, that's it. We played an event of Barbara Smith's up in Malibu.
Okay.
That's how we met.
And you just, you were both friends of hers, or
I guess we must have been. We were both.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how it is in the improvising community. You're kind of friends hired. Where's the line?
Yeah.
And we both played at an event up in Malibu. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah.
Now you're very generous when you say you know about the improvising community. I don't. I love to improvise, and we'll experiment with that today.
We will.
And actually, this week I'm getting together with Breeze.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
fun.
and he's very gracious to to invite me to experiment and stuff, as you are too. So, but I love it. And when I saw you the other night at Oracle downtown, that was so good. It was so, sometimes improvisational work gets very wandering. And which is not really, my terminology, wandering. It's not my favorite improvisation when it's just kind of meandering and although if I'm doing it, I kind of like it.
It is different, isn't it? When you're in it versus when you hear it sometimes. Yep.
Yeah. But yours, even though I knew it was totally improvisational, it was not wandering. It wasn't like, you weren't wandering around in this huge room kind of going, where's the light?
Nice.
You guys were all fantastic. And Breeze Smith was the drummer. And I don't really know the bass player.
Stuart Liebig.
He was wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, I think we can find a track on YouTube of him and I with prepared bass, something I wrote. I think Breeze comes to improvisation from art. Well, because you've talked to him.
Yeah.
So he's got that visual form.
Yeah.
And both Stuart and I are composers. I got my master's in composition. So I think we think formally too. So it's really nice to hear you say that we didn't wander, because that's one of my things is how do I stay present in the moment to be inspired, but yet have an idea of overall form.
Yeah.
So good. I'm glad.
That must be one of the main challenges of improvisation.
For me, yeah. For the free improv scene, yeah. It's funny. I told you earlier before we went online that I've started writing a blog.
Yeah.
Well, my last blog is being versus watching.
Oh.
Yeah. All my blogs have a versus in it. That's like my little trick.
Being versus watching.
Yeah.
That says it
Yeah. And so the what I've been dealing with when you talk about the improvising, I think it's both. And that's what I came up with. It's both.
Yeah.
You can never, and I in the blog I question, is it a psychosis when you get caught in one and you can't go between the others? Because I think, I'm going to say it probably so much, but I really am pleased that you didn't find it wandering, because I think good improvisation is partly watching and being. And it's how quick can that teeter-totter balance go back and forth, you know?
Yeah.
Can it go as fast as an electron? So in a sense, you're always being, but you're kind of aware of what happens so you can call it back or refer to it or move on from it. That's kind of my thing.
Well, that reminds me of how it feels when I'm just singing, and what I hope to teach students too, which is exactly that. It's like you have to be in the moment. How I've put it is, you can't be in the past moment. You have to be in the moment and also in the future moment. So, you're kind of teetering on that. You're here and you're kind of, what's next, but not planning.
Yeah.
But what you said, that's how I feel when I'm singing. It's like, you have to somehow observe, but not with any analyzing or,
Yeah. When my improv gets bad is when it gets all head. When I go, okay, well, listen to this. This is a staccato section, and this is, when I get into the old 20th century composition head, then it's like, oh, that was not a good set. But hopefully, even my bad sets are 80% good. So.
And also, there's that thing, you think you had a bad set, and the listener thinks it was incredible.
Yeah.
So,
you never know.
Yeah. But I wonder if I can just find the thing that you're mentioning.
Which thing?
Your Stewart.
Oh, yeah. Go ELLEN BURR duos.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, CD Baby put my whole duos up on YouTube, so well, as if we're going to make any money with it anyway. But okay. Oh, there's a lot. Maybe put Senba Zuru. Maybe put that instead of duos. The album's called Duos.
Where am I?
I would in the
this
search.
One?
No, go
sorry.
up there. Yeah, instead of duos, put Senba Zuru or
How are you spelling?
SENBAZURU, which is Japanese for, there we go, the white birds for doves, I think.
Okay. Now it's 9 minutes, so I might.
Yeah, don't listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
You can find it on YouTube.
And the picture is. I'll show the picture a little bit, and then I might come back to
the picture is one of my drawings.
Oh.
It's a dream drawing. For 3 to 5 years, I drew my dreams every morning. And that's Wild Man, Still Man.
How, I know people talk about dreams, and I have dreams, certainly, and sometimes they wake me up, but I don't wake up consistently remembering my dreams.
When I first started drawing my dreams, it was because I wanted to practice drawing, and I didn't feel like I was very good at representational drawing.
Yeah.
But I always dreamed, and I just started, and at first it was almost just shapes. When you come over next time, I'll show you.
Yeah. And
then the more I practiced drawing, at this phase of life, I spent 4 hours every morning drawing my dreams and writing down what they were.
Wow.
So it got to the point where it wasn't a vague image to many specific images, to many dreams, and then I just had to pick something because it just got overwhelming, and that's kind of why it stopped, because I got involved with other things. I couldn't spend 4 hours doing my dreams anymore.
I want to show you sometime a dream that woke me up in the middle of the night, and I just thought, I'm getting up and writing it down.
Oh, cool.
And then I wrote it in kind of a stream of consciousness, I wasn't like, heavy picking and stuff. I was just writing as it came. And I spent probably an hour writing, and it was really cool. I liked it. I thought, well, maybe I can get a song out of this, but I looked at it, it was like, well, it's a story. Maybe I can dig deeply and get a song, but I don't really write like that usually.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, so that's really, it's a beautiful cover. Wow.
Thank you.
That is really nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
So there's four other people.
Yeah. When I did this, gosh, it was so long ago now. When did I don't know when I made this album. I think it was in the 90s. I don't know. Time. Okay, it's all duos. And it's a kind of a Rorschach image. So
Yeah.
The albums, people don't listen to albums in
Completion or yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say
Completely
complicity,
or,
but
yeah.
that's the wrong.
No.
So it starts and ends with me playing a duo with myself
Uh-huh.
because I'm really into singing and playing, and then the other bookends are me with Sarah Schoenbeck, and we practiced improvising together for a while. I have these cards. I think Stephen might have shown you those, or I have some in the car I could show you. And they're in his latest book, a little sample of it. These improv cards, and we used to practice canons, which is really hard. To talk about learning how to pay attention while you're in the present is somebody starts and the second person would play in canon with them.
Yeah.
So you have to be playing what you just heard while listening to what's coming up.
Yeah.
That was so that was there, and then I had Andrew Pask, who's on clarinet, and myself. We did this composition I wrote based on Mary Martin's drawing. She was back in the minimal days. I forgot, the Jackson Pollock that time.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And then the other side is Senba Zuru is something I wrote for Stuart and I, and he does prepared bass. And then in the middle is Jeanette Kangas and I doing drums and flute and using one of my other game pieces because I'm really into game pieces.
This sounds great. So
I'm really proud of this album.
should we listen to the Stewart one or
You can listen to a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Listen to a
the
little bit
whole
of Stewart.
This is not the whole thing. This is right.
9 minutes of Stewart.
Okay. So
So-
let's listen a little to Stewart.
Sure.
Did you say this is prepared bass?
Yeah.
So that means it's written.
No, prepared means he's got clips on it and paper and like prepared piano.
I don't know what that term is actually.
That's where you put he puts paper clips and other things on it so that the sound is more it's
Unusual
not just
things.
yes.
Oh.
And same John Cage did that for piano.
Oh, okay.
Right, where you put paper clips and clothespins and paper and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
in the strings.
Right.
So he puts it
okay.
on the strings.
Okay.
Because it was kind of a Japanese. The beginning is improv. I think we're coming up to the written section, but wanted to have a kind of more of a Japanesey sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And this is alto flute.
I love alto.
Yeah. Wait till you hear bass. Now here's the written section, I think. Yeah.
great. So I'm gonna like it.
Okay, good. Well, I don't have any likes on it? I can't believe it. Go figures.
You know,
Ah.
I've been taking to lately. I have like gone way back in time and taken, you know, off of YouTube some really old recordings of mine that people probably never heard. You know, a lot of people, right? And then I put it up on Facebook, and I go, oh, look what I found.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
you know, God, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's been a long time that we've been doing this, you know, and, you know, it kills me sometimes. And this is an ego thing for sure, but like I'll hear some young singer doing a song that I did, you know, 25 years ago, and they're so excited, and people go, oh God, can you believe that song? And I'm always like, well, yeah, I can believe I can believe it. I recorded that song, you know.
I know.
But that's, you know, that's ego, and that really has nothing to do with anything particularly.
It has nothing to do with anything. It has everything to do with holding us back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I experience the same things.
Yeah.
Especially when I do like the tango thing, like I was doing the talking and playing. Luckily, no one's done that yet, but I'm sure someone's going to do it. And they're going. What happens, I find, is when somebody catches onto one of these things that we experiment with,
Yeah.
they keep going with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, been there, done that. What's next?
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's a keeping going that is what gets noticed.
And really, the keeping going, really, you know, when you think about it, is the important thing. It's. I mean, I mean keeping going for each one of us. Like you do that original thing, and then you keep going with whatever you keep going.
Yeah.
Not just taking that subject and going with it. But I guess that's the muse, right? The muse wants that tango idea to like flourish and prosper, so it gives it to somebody else as well, right?
Yeah. You know, Liz Gilbert?
Elizabeth Gilbert,
I
the
think
writer?
that's her name. Yeah, the big... What was her latest book about?
Well, she wrote Big Magic.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
What I loved for reading in that book was an idea is in the atmosphere. It's kind of in the zeitgeist.
I know exactly.
And if you
that
don't
part.
grab it, somebody else will.
And the example that she gave, remember the example? There was another writer who she had never met. Yeah. They were at a convention. They went and had lunch. She had worked with this idea, but it was a really difficult personal time in her life, and she just finally just couldn't continue on the idea. But she had given it to the publishers, the idea, and they had okayed it. I mean, it was really, you know, and then she finally had to let it go. The woman who she had just met, having lunch with, had gotten that idea and was taking off with it.
I get goosebumps.
I know, me too.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think for me, the ego thing, I'm curious, is this what people see us, or do I see
Well, right
both
now,
of us? Oh, there we are.
Yeah, but we can do this. Hello.
I just was tired of my image. I could give you more images. But the ego thing, what I find when I said it holds you back, because when it holds me back is when I don't honor who I am.
Yes.
And what gets me upset about Western society is your honor, how much you are valued. I hope I don't cry. How much you are valued is how much you are paid.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And sometimes our value, or at least I find if I value what I do, which is kind of all over the place, you know, and that's what keeps me excited. And I mean, that's why I came up with the tango idea. I wasn't thinking of I'm going to make this idea where I talk in between. It was to solve another problem. Which I have to tell you what it is I had 15 minutes to give a class at the flute convention. And I wanted to play this tango because I love the Piazzolla flute etude tangos. And I wanted to show them how you can pick out the bass line and separate it from the melody. And how if you think of yourself as telling a story, that helps you get more of emotional content in your playing rather than just playing the notes and the rhythm.
Wow, yeah.
So, but I only had 15 minutes. So as I was working out pulling out the bass part, I go, oh, there's lots of space in here. Maybe I could just tell the story at the same time as the bass, and then it would take less time. So
That's so cool.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's, as Elizabeth Gilbert says, curiosity is creativity. And that was your curiosity started it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I wonder if right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
fabulous.
just have to be you so hit that I want to say wound or sore spot that's not, I guess, not healed, because it's still,
Yeah.
I feel it when people do something that I've done 20 years ago or done in the 80s. I mean, it's
Yeah.
40 years ago now.
Yeah.
When I was dealing with stuff back then, but I didn't continue it because it didn't keep me interested enough to keep doing it.
Yes.
So I just have to let it go, and just, as long as I can pay rent and get food. What one writer wrote. Yeah, I know, huh? I wish I
letting
remember
go
who said
and
this.
stuff, yeah.
One writer said, as long as I can have a cigarette and a good Italian meal, I'm fine.
Almost sounds like Hemingway, but
I don't think it was.
no, I
but
don't do
yeah.
either. Wow. Well, you guys who have been here a lot know that I'm loving this conversation. Yeah. Well, first of all, the honoring thing. It's funny. I had dinner with my friend last night, and she she had printed. She had some kind of a printing thing. She printed on her hand, "I am enough."
Oh, I've had.
Yeah, and so she could look at it and show it to people like that, And I thought that was great. But
Yeah,
it's and then of course being a teacher, one-on-one, right?
Yep.
Which you are too,
Oh, I
right?
love it. Yep.
And you see that all the time in so many different forms coming up, because even though so I've said this to people before, and I've had disagreements, which I can't believe, but we're all built the same. We all have the exact same emotional responses that we're capable of. However, they come out and they grow in different ways, because we're all different beings with different histories and so on. But we're all built the same. I learned that, quite young, when I was in a depressed state, and I was like, oh, I see now, because I was I was put into this hospital for a few weeks, where there were all age people, all genders, and everybody was suffering from the same shit. And I was like, oh, so you could be a potato farmer in Idaho and feel like I feel. And so I wasn't alone, because usually depression comes from feeling alone.
Yeah, isolated and
So but the let's see. Sorry, I'm kind of getting off track. But the thing about the honoring, the honoring, and you don't. It's funny, because people like us who aren't searching for ego stimulation so much, in an obvious way.
or societal approval of our ego.
Yeah. Although I'm sure I have a desire for that somewhere.
Yeah,
right? But I'm not searching for it.
Right.
But so it's but you see how you still have it when you still have open wounds about that stuff, and it's about acceptance, and it's interesting, because even though, I'm sure we get a lot of acceptance, we get a lot of people saying, oh, you're great, or I love you, or you moved me, or you made me cry, and is it ever enough,
What I've finally had to accept, so many people say they appreciate how I've chosen to keep living a creative life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so many people who have kids but are like, oh, no, don't get me wrong, I love my kids, I really am.
Yeah.
And they I guess the grass is greener, I don't know, or there's just something. And what's so funny is when people say I have courage,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
It feels like, I mean, you don't tell a fish they have to swim,
Yeah.
right? So I've had to wrap my head around that one and realize if it was them to live my life, it would be courageous. But for me, living my life, it's honoring who I am as best as I can. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that in different ways too, because I'm always doing something, and I'm always doing something different, and I'm whatever I'm doing, and people. I think the biggest thing that people mention is that that I continue, which is it's obviously a reflection, right? Of they're seeing that, and they're there's like a little switch that goes off in them that they didn't continue on something, or just looking at someone continuing all the time makes them exhausted, and they don't know how to even to kind of put that into action. But like you say, it's for me, it's not. I don't consider myself brave to continue. I just have to. It's just. My idea of relaxation a lot of times is not just sitting and doing nothing. It's actually doing something, but in a calm way, right? So it's interesting. I mean, that essence of human reaction is, I mean, that's what we're made of, that's that's why I got a divorce from my first husband, because he set me up to win, to like start teaching and everything and out there singing, but it actually flipped his switch, that he was not doing it. And he, in the end, it just drove him crazy in a way, right? So.
And I'm just dying to add something because I've been working on valuing everything, and not to be Pollyanna about it, but how is everything a positive? How is everything a step forward? So you mentioned when people see the creativity in us, a lot of times it's a switch that they turned off that they wish they had it, or they haven't continued. How about if we look at it too as if we're a light, that we're inspiring them, that it's not too late, that there is something. So, So I guess I bring that up because I've been working hard on myself for whatever happens. Like, I was with a man for 29 years, half my life. I met him when I was 29. And when we split, so it took me, it's been 7 years, January will be 7 years I left him. But it's taken me a long time, and I'm sure I'll still cycle back to negativity, but to see how that relationship served me, even though it didn't feel like it was serving at the time.
Oh, yeah. Fuck yes. Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because otherwise you'd be living in grief.
Yeah.
And who wants that? Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. I'm right there with you. I mean, I could give you funny examples, a real quick example, and some of you have heard this before. I don't even know if anyone's commenting because I'm not looking at Facebook. Let's just, there's
wow.
So anyway, but an example is in the Yugoslavian War, I accepted, of course, in my usual, I'll go, a gig in Yugoslavia, wherever I was, Belgrade, I can't remember where I was. Anyway, there was a war that had started, but I was in a high-class hotel, and I was singing, and I mean, it started off kind of weird because my suitcase didn't come when I did, so I had to wear the singer before me's dress, and she probably weighed a few hundred pounds, so I had to I mean, there was lots of funny shit, but anyway, at the end the war had escalated, and I was supposed to be there a month, but there was no planes leaving the city. So I stayed another 2 weeks, and nobody was flying in either.
Right.
And so finally they put me on a bus. Oh, they put me on a bus to Budapest, which was, I should write a song about that. But
That's got good alliteration.
yeah.
Bus to Budapest. Yeah, I like it.
And, it was very strange because, well, first of all, I had been reading, I don't know if you guys can see my face well enough, but I had been reading a book that had stimulated my belief, which I had had for years, that this reality is what I have created, and everything that I'm aware of is my universe and creation. Nothing exists outside. It's just all, I'm creating it right now. So that's what I was really thinking that way, right? And so I had made friends in there, and really good friends, and there was the war 500 miles away there was you could hear the shotguns and stuff. And so when I got on the bus and got off the bus, I knew nobody there. Which was unusual for me in traveling. I usually had a gig, somebody waiting, So I found a hotel. I had to wait for my agent, who was out of those countries, to get me money and to find a ticket home.
Wow.
So I was there for a few days in this hotel, and I befriended someone, and we went out and we had a good time, and then came back and he tried to rape me. So it was very dramatic. I had never been in that situation before. And interestingly, at some point I said, I'm going to hurt you if you don't stop.
Well, good for you.
Which was interesting because I had this kind of what I conceived to be male energy coming up.
Sure.
Which I had never tapped into. And anyway, as I pushed him out the door, he said, "You want to have breakfast tomorrow?" So that's where he was coming from. But anyway, came in. I immediately started crying, and then I immediately started thinking, well, how can I, not cry the rest of the night? I have to take responsibility for this. Well, that was stupid of me to allow him into my room, and I'll never do that again. And I stopped crying. That took a minute, that whole process, right? And then I eventually found my, the next day I found the jazz club. And I made a friend who helped me, and we got to the bank, and the bank said, you're never going to get the money tomorrow. It'll be another week. And I couldn't wait another week because I was going to Vienna to see some friends, and then I could leave from Vienna to get home. So when I went home after the bank, I just said, well, if I'm creating my reality, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and the money's going to be in the bank. And so I just went to sleep with that thought, and the money was in the bank the next day. And everybody was like, this is impossible.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That reminds me of a trip we took. My ex and I used to travel quite a bit. And we were taking a road trip up in Montana.
Yeah.
And when we hit one place or something, was it in Montana? Or Wyoming? I think it was Montana. We found this book, Hot Springs. So, okay, our goal will be Hot Springs. Well, we're campers, so we would go someplace and we'd set up camp and we'd break it down. We set up camp, break it down. And before this trip, I said, if there's one thing I want to have at least 2 or 3 nights in the same place. I don't want to have to keep breaking camp every night. And that was my intention, right? So we went to this place called Sleeping Child. And it was that's where he wanted to go. So, okay, we're going to go to Sleeping Child. We drove up this road, and it was like, it's freshly paved. And it wasn't like any other road in the hills of Montana. Oh, it's freshly paved. And then we got to the place, and it was like, is this private or is it public? Because we couldn't tell. And there were license plates from different states. So I thought, okay, it's public. And then I was like, the door's open, it's public, right? Being lost from Los Angeles, the door was open, we walked in, and then we were greeted by this young man who was about our age. He goes, hello, and I go, hi, and he just kind of stood there looking at me. I go, is this public or private? And he goes, private. I go, oh, okay. He goes, well, do you want to soak? And I heard my voice go, yes. And we were there for two or three nights.
Oh, wow.
I know. And he took us flying in his, the man who owned it took us flying around in his private jet-powered helicopter to look at the land. They had hot springs. They fed us.
Oh, God.
Treated us to wine.
Jeez.
I know. Go figure. Put out an intention, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But, the thing is, what I found,
Yeah.
it has to be an intention. Intention.
Yeah.
It can't be an up here attention.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
It's like
yes.
if you think, oh, I would really like this, or I'm going to make this
Yes.
happen. Until you really own it,
Yeah.
or at least that's what I found.
Well, this kind of goes back to what you were to me
Okay.
talking about the balance of being, the musical.
Yeah, present.
Yeah.
Being versus watching.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to that balance too, because, you have to be, but you also have to be aware, and which is the watching, right? I guess.
And I love that you say balance.
Yeah.
Because balance isn't stasis.
Yeah.
Balance is
Yeah.
between the two.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, very cool.
See, kindred spirit. Okay, so we're gonna actually talk to people for a minute.
Oh, I like that. Let's see what they're saying.
Yep, Joyce Glasgow is an artist from Seattle. She's here, and Pierre Chambers. He's a singer, great singer, jazz singer who I just finished producing an album for him.
Nice.
Nora Paradiso, singer and actress. She loves your art.
Thank you.
Joyce loves your art. Oh yeah, Roland wants to ask you about your cooperation with Brad Dutz.
Oh, what about it?
I don't know. He just
in
said
general?
talk about your cooperation with Brad Dutz. So yeah,
Okay.
Brad Dutz, percussionist, creative, genius guy.
Yeah. Did you have him on the show ever?
Yes,
Yeah?
and worked with him a bunch.
Oh,
and-
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
over the
he had
years.
He had that Sunland series,
That was
which was
fun.
fun. It was just so far away.
And it
That's
was,
when I lived in Venice.
Oh,
So it's a little closer now that I live in Hancock Park. Hancock Park's
Oh, yeah.
great. It's like kind of right in the center of the city. But when I lived in Venice, especially as it got more and more traffic, it took an hour just to get to the 405, let alone
and
across
Sunland
it.
is it's kind of out of the way, and
Yeah.
it's so cool if you live on
It
this
was.
side.
The couple times I went, it was great. So how did I meet Brad? I don't know how I meet people, but we had an improv session with Sarah Schoenbeck on bassoon and he's going to kill me, I forgot his name, trombone player who's now playing slide. His sister's the piano player who plays on piano spheres a lot. Their name will come to me. Oh my, this is terrible. And then a Roper was there one day, and we had a couple other people come in every now and then. But what we did was we each brought an idea or a composition or something, and we met every other week, I think, and the four of us and improvised, and I think he recorded them. I don't know if he saved them. And that's when I came up with the improv cards that I call ink bops. Was because I noticed that, you know how you said sometimes improvisations wander?
Yeah.
Amy Knowles, who hates improv, sorry, Amy, she said this thing that I don't know if I should say. It's one of those things that'll always haunt you, but it's so worth it.
Okay.
Okay?
Get ready. Okay.
She said, free improv is either scratch and sniff or pet store on fire.
I have to think about that. Scratch and sniff or pet store on fire. Wow. Okay.
And it's more than that.
Yeah,
but
course.
it's funny when it gets to those wandering moments that you talk about where we're all looking, what is our theme or where are we going?
Yeah.
And then when we all get excited and we have the wild stuff. But so I did notice that there were tendencies of free improv.
Yeah.
And it did tend to do that. It would start off where we would all be kind of searching for what is the idea that's going to show itself and be present.
Yeah.
Having studied composition, what I missed about free improv was the structure of a composition, where you have a bass, the basic bass, harmony, melody, and doodles on top. What are they called? Obligato.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, that's kind of your four parts.
Yeah.
So I made these cards. Oh, and Mel Powell said this funny thing. He said, it's really simple. Either your melody will go up or down or stay the same. Okay. So I made these cards with pen and ink.
Yeah.
Different
Movement.
gestures going up and different gestures going down and staying the same. And you had to connect them. And so then that way we were forced to play a line that wasn't necessarily related.
Yeah.
And it would create more of a multiplicity, more of a harmony, because I think that we're always going to find how things relate. I think that's a human nature too.
And that relates to moving, movement.
Yeah.
You have to move.
Yeah.
Which that's a lesson in itself, right?
To move.
Yeah, and what you're speaking of. Yeah.
But only move when you hear it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's kind of a different dynamic of movement, right? Because movement it's not just movement, too much of anything is not happening, right? It's kind of boring. So there's movement, but within the movement, there's space and dynamics and, right? And like a palette, which you come in and paint on at the proper moment and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Movement, I want to call intention. Because I remember when Jeanette Kangas and I were doing a performance, I'll come back to more with Brad. Karen, Elaine, Brad, and I just put out something that we recorded over COVID. But I was doing a performance with Jeanette, and we picked our cards. And I love when people pick their cards without referring to each other.
Yeah.
And we had both picked the card of silence at the same time. So, and each card's a minute. So, a live performance. So we were like, should we do that? And it was our intention of hearing
silence.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm really into that.
Yeah.
Space is where it's at, man. It's really good. Have I told you about my group Fish to Birds?
I don't know, but I like that name.
Ashley on the Stephen Nachmanovich hang.
Yeah.
She's in Fish to Birds. So
Oh,
she
okay.
and I, and it kind of varies, but for a long time it was 4 other people. And we're a vocal improv group.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing written, and we have forms that we've gotten accustomed to as far as like somebody will set up a groove and somebody else will come in and improvise, and we've made agreements over the years like come together and then go apart, and but it doesn't always work.
Of course not.
But when it works, it's like it's divine.
Yeah.
It's so much fun, and you can include people listening, and it's really delicious. Also, I wanted to mention I wrote down Jay Clayton. Are you familiar with Jay?
Mm-mm. Should I be? Okay, another name in my book.
Absolutely. Jay, it's a woman, Jay Clayton.
Okay.
And she actually was one of the creators of free improv vocal and loft, the New York loft scene. She's 80.
Oh, cool.
And
is she still around?
Absolutely. She's a dear friend. We'll talk with her.
Okay.
But she actually writes compositions that you're talking about. Like the composition will look like a movement up, and then maybe three sounds, 3 long sounds, 5 short sounds. And she gets people to do that, and it's always a really beautiful, interesting experience. But she's amazing. She came here last year, right, guys? And so I created a gig for her, and it was great because she also has the Great American Songbook in her repertoire, but she's really a great improviser, and the whole thing was pretty amazing because she's 80.
Yeah.
And she started back in the loft days,
Yeah.
It's a
Nice,
long time.
nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Definitely introduce you.
Please. I look forward to that.
So more about Brad, and then we can go on and see what other comments.
I think I threw it in there. Karen and Elaine on viola and I and Brad whatever's the proper grammar to put us in order. Recorded last December, and I think you can get that on Bandcamp.
Yeah,
I don't know what he calls it.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
Let's just take a look.
Alrighty.
Bandcamp.
Yeah, the whole business of creating. I mean, there's creating, and then there's the business of it, which is a whole different thing.
Yes, very interesting. So Brad, I mean, he keeps
putting out stuff. I know, it's amazing. I love it.
John Fumo. I love John Fumo.
Mm-hmm.
And right here.
There we are.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. There we go. Yeah, that's it.
Look
Oh,
at
that's
that.
one of my drawings. I didn't realize I used that.
Let's look at that for here. We'll share screen. And that's, yeah. You didn't realize he had used it?
I forgot.
Oh.
I kind of maybe that's why I'm into this doing and watching, because I'm into doing, and then I forget and I go
Look
on
at
to the
that.
next doing.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Wow. Where do you start on something like this, and how do you continue? Do you just start with one little area and then pick up different colors, or how do you do this?
I think that might be part of a bigger one. That one?
Yeah.
Oh man, that was so long ago. I don't remember. I think, you know what I used to do when I drew? Rapidographics, they don't make them anymore. They're a constant line, and it's a tube and a ball inside the tube. So when you touch it to the paper, the ink releases. So you get this steady line. So I used to just hold the pen and let it go where it goes. Kind of like automatic writing, drawing.
Yeah.
So I think with something like this, I just have all my colors out, and I don't know, that one. I don't think I do that detailed much anymore. I'm not sure.
It is a lot of detail, isn't it?
I might have been a while to work on. Yeah.
Okay, we're just going to play one or two, and
sure.
It's red.
the Dutzer.
Yeah. Oh, his complete discography. Yeah, cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. He has a nice setup in his house recording.
But of course now he's moved.
Yeah.
great. It's just great. That's why I love Brad Dutz too. He's just so creative and listening. Joyce says she sees a woman playing a large frame drum, probably right in here, right? That was really beautiful. I have a pertinent question.
I love questions.
So, as an improviser, my image looks a little strange. As an improviser, what do you do when you don't like what someone is playing? I have had that happen, and you know, I've had that happen, and sometimes I just can't get past it, and I'm pissed off, and I can't. I mean, I shut up basically, because if I try and overpower it, it's not happening, you know, because the other person is doing the overpowering.
I've done 3 things. First thing is shut up.
Yeah.
And that usually precedes one of the other 2. Then I either just yell with my flute. You know, when I was mad as a kid, this is how I got good at my high notes. We weren't really allowed to show anger in my family. So when I was mad, we had, you know, the vents in the floor for the heating. I would get to the vent and I'd just play a high note as loud as I could into the vent.
Oh, wow.
That was my way of yelling. So I would yell musically, or when I try and be more of put my big girl pants on,
Yeah.
I would see what can flute
Add to it. Yeah.
What could I do? Those are one of the 3 things. But they both usually just start with laying back for a bit and actually hearing what's going on. And if I don't like it, I like that because it does evoke a strong emotion. So that's why it depends where I'm at. Yeah. If I'm in more in a headspace, I'll find out what flute can do to make it coherent.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think of how flute can just fit into it. How can I make the piece coherent?
Yeah.
But if I'm in more of a heart space and I'm really pissed, I'll just yell.
I'm imagining how that would affect what I'm thinking of. That would be funny.
Yeah, it would definitely affect it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something I was listening as we were listening to that cut, it reminded me, do you know Anne Bogart's work is theater? She has this thing called Viewpoints. It's very cool. It's very almost graphic. And it's physical because it's theater, but it's how you change direction, speed. Basically, you change direction or speed by how you're affected by somebody else. So like if you're walking on a straight line and somebody crosses you, you might change direction, or you might slow down, or you might stop. And so when I was listening to that piece, I was hearing that kind of audible way of listening in the piece is you're doing something and then something happens and that affects you to change in one way. Yeah. It's interesting. Viewpoints.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You haven't only done improvisation in your flute playing, right?
I've tried some comedy improv. I'm really bad.
Comedy improv.
Yeah, and the city.
I'm not sure what that means with flute. Comedy
I don't
improv?
No, just not with flute. Just with flute.
Yeah. It'd be funny to add the flute in though.
Yeah, it could be.
So you're an actress too. I forgot.
There's a funny clip I worked on with my clown teacher called Professor Ermentrude, and she teaches it. You know, I love it when one person plays 2 characters.
Yeah.
So that's on YouTube too.
Okay.
She teaches how to play the Mozart Concerto in D major. Yeah. This was inspired because a friend of mine, Lee Lattimore, who I went to school with in Wichita, Kansas at WSU, when I started acting, he was like, you should do something with your acting. There it is. Acting and flute. Top one. Or no, the second one. I'm sorry. And so
This right here?
yeah, that's it. That's
Oh,
Professor
okay.
Ermentrude.
All right. I thought it might be like, you know.
No, that's my old birdie. My poor little guy.
Okay.
Mrs. Acting and Flute. This was at the flute convention.
Miss Burr, if I told you once, I told you 1,000 times. Keep that flute parallel to the floor and perpendicular to your nose. Just as the walls are perpendicular to the ceiling, so that the entire structure does not collapse. Yes, Professor Ermentrude. Like this? Why? I'm sorry, Professor. I so want to please you. Like this? Oh, yes, Professor. Let me try again. Like this? Like this? Like this? I suppose that's adequate for today. Now, Rosette has been preparing the Mozart D major concerto for your upcoming audition. Let's see how it is progressing. Yes, Professor Cathy. Miss Burr, such excessive passion is quite out of fashion. Why, when I was principal flautist with the Baltimore Symphonic Orchestra, that would have not only been frowned upon, but not tolerated in the least. Classical music is the utmost refinement of the purest of emotions. Base emotions, such as hunger, ambition, and sexual voraciousness, are to be restrained. One should never expose those to the common public. Refinement consists of the utmost attunement to the transcendental spirit of the human experience. Through the perseverance of
Now, this was done at a convention of flute. I'm sorry, where was this done?
The flute convention, yeah.
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 So people were flute players who were watching
Yeah,
too. Yeah,
exactly. That's what it was all about.
Yeah.
It's kind of the gesture spirit, making fun of the, yeah.
Of the more classical teaching.
Yeah.
I so want to be a master just like you.
Yeah.
Well, from what I just witnessed, that's going to take place. Speaking of
So
People can watch it on YouTube if they want to watch it, finish it. Yeah. So that was inspired by Lee telling me to put my comedy and my flute playing together. So that's what we got. So I wrote that and worked on it. Yeah. And I keep thinking Professor Ermentrude has to come back and teach some other things.
Yeah, well, have you seen Larry Golding's? Well, I mean, it's a little, well, anyway, have you seen Larry Golding's counter person?
No. Another thing for me to look at.
Let's see if I can see a little bit of him. I'm trying to, let's see, forget the person, Larry Golding's, oh yeah, Hans Greiner. So, let's see, wait a minute. Hans Greiner. I'll show you just a little bit of it because it's pretty funny. Cool. And I don't know if other people, here's talking about Thelonious Monk.
I am from Austria.
You know Larry Golding?
The city of
Brilliant.
Braunau.
Yeah. Oh, I'll check it out.
Jazz pianist.
Home city of Adolf Hitler. But don't hold that against me. Anyway, I grew up playing accordion very young. I think I was 2. Could barely hold it, of course, but it was fun. I heard the first jazz that I heard when I was 7. I did not like it. For the most part, I still do not like it. But when I was 10, I heard the
so serious.
Thelonious Monk.
Such a deadpan presentation.
I did not like. But as I grew a little older, I discovered that there was some great potential in the music of Monk, and if only certain elements of it were
just play
changed.
a little of this, and then I'll shut it off.
His notes were some of them very wrong sounding and dissonant. Also, the rhythms were not right. So. From the age of about 20, I decided to take on a project of making the music of Monk more accessible. And so every day I put the Monk record on my Plattenspieler record player and try to find the spots where I did not like the music, which were many, and I started to change them.
He's giving an example.
I'll show you an example of how I come to the concept of the Monk interpretation.
Look at that face. That's good. Very good.
Listen to more. Okay, Gunnar, how do you turn this off? And now my interpretation of Monk's Well You Needn't. I think you will like it as much as I know I will.
It goes on and on.
It's great. I have to check him out.
He's done a lot of it. So,
how fun!
Yeah, it's
how fun!
Pretty fun.
Yeah. There's something about the tradition of music and humor, and not taking yourself lightly, huh?
Yeah.
Not taking yourself too serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
Roland says he loves what Hans did with giant steps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Larry Golding's, he's if you ever see that he's playing, you'd really like his playing. He's just a very on that edge that we were talking about of moving forward, and he's brilliant, but he's beautifully musical. He's really wonderful.
I kind of pretended like I knew what you were talking about, but I'm not sure I really understand your idea of moving forward. Could you talk about that more?
Sure. Well, you were talking about something else, and so my words probably should have been different, because you were talking about you getting an idea and then somebody else taking that idea and moving forward with it. So I mean, you know, I see everything in life as on a flow.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's always moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this moment is now in the past,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mhm.
we're here, but we're on this forward propelling. Unless you want to just stay in the past, and you think about memories, or you know, sit around and you live in your memories, or you know, carry too much grief or negative emotions about the past. You know, you're holding on to that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all. It's just and I see that everywhere. I see that, you know, like talking about my little book, The Act of Becoming. It's you know, talking about playing jazz, for instance. You know, I can't be in the past, even just in this moment, this past moment. I can't be there, right? I have to be here and moving forward. I have to do that. You know, if I'm gonna, I'm already, you know, I'm already over there, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then even technique, I see that. You must see that too. You know, if I'm trying to, let's just say, I'm trying to, my intention has to be there, right?
Yeah.
And I just, in some of my midnight writings, I came up with this too, which I was like, damn, why didn't I think of that before? So, you know, like I meant to do that on purpose. You know, that's such a common thing, but on purpose. So if I'm intending that note, if I'm not intending it and I'm worried about it, or I'm hoping I'm going to get it, you know, I'm not even doing it well, technique wise.
Right.
But if technique works better if I'm out of the mud, the sucking mud of of the moment, or you know, worry is not. Where is worry? Worry is not even in the future, right? Worry is a weird.
Yeah.
It's like purgatory or something.
You're already condemning what happens.
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
worry. Yeah.
So this intention or on purpose, I love that new concept.
Write it down.
I did. But so that's what I mean by movement. It's hard to talk about it because it's not. It is. I mean, it can't. The manifestation is physical, but it's not. I don't think it's born in the physical universe. You know, this movement. I think it's a aesthetic or non-material kind of a sorry. I'm looking for the right words, but it's like a non-material existence, or reality, or a manifest. It's not the word manifestation. I always think of, you know, something happened because of something else. So I can't really use manifestation, but it's anyway. It's not physical.
Being in the zone.
Yeah, and that's to me movement.
Okay.
Well, that's where movement lives. I mean,
Yeah, that's where it lives.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the same
If we
thing
go
as
visit
being
it.
in the zone, but maybe it is. You know.
If movement itself is not the same, maybe
Well-
being in the zone is being in movement.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes, like with my students, I like to say, you're in a boat on a stream, and you're going and you're noticing different things, you know, and that gives them the idea that it's moving, and you know, of course, sticking to that idea is the challenge, I think, you know.
Yeah. Because you get caught in an eddy.
Yeah.
Or you're hungry. You want to stop and get some fish. Right?
Yeah. Distractions everywhere.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
sometimes, when you can use your distraction and when it's distracting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But getting back to my earlier question, you got your master's in
Composition from Calgary.
composition.
Yeah.
So you were composing for orchestra or for groups? Were you you read obviously
Oh yeah, I got
incredibly
my
well.
my bachelor's in flute performance.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love. I mean, my favorite classical music period is mid 20th century. I just love the stuff. I'm so into octatonic and whole tone scales. so that's definitely mid 20th century.
Yeah.
I wrote. Did I ever finish? I don't think I ever finished my piano thing. I wrote my master's thesis. I had to come up with, because at CalArts you could do whatever you wanted, basically.
Yeah.
And so I think it's changed some now though. But this was in the early '80s. So my dad has his PhD in pharmacology, so I couldn't see myself getting a master's degree without having a thesis. So I made up 2 theses for myself. One was called Emergence, which had to do with the Sipapu, which is the Hopi idea of the hole in the Grand Canyon where life emerged from, and where it goes back to. So that was with dancers and musicians, and that was mostly, was it all written? Yeah, that was all written. It's a 30-minute piece. And then later when I got out, I wrote a 30-minute opera using the poems of Dottie Grossman's, and that was called Five, because I liked 5. And I found in this numeral, in this book about numbers and math, all this ancient symbols of 5. So it had to do, I had 5 musicians, I had 5 singers, and I used Dottie's poems, and I've always been into how can we get rid of hierarchy? Because if you look at a theater production, you have the actors are present, right?
Yeah.
And if there's music, it's in the pit. You don't even see them most of the time.
Right.
It's changing a little bit. And the scene, the backdrop is just where they're at,
Yeah.
So I'm like, how do I upset this sense of hierarchy? And
so hierarchy in that situation is what?
To me, it's the actors or the words are prominent, the music is second, and the set is third.
Oh, okay.
So one of the pieces in that opera, I had the score, which was clocks moving. I had 5 clocks, and they each were moving, and each of the singers had a clock. And when it hit, I don't even remember how it goes now, but when it hit when the hand hit a certain spot in the clock, they had to say one of their words, and I separated the poem into nouns and verbs and adjectives. So each person had, so it was noun, verb, adjective, noun, noun, verb, adjective, noun. Maybe it was adjective, noun. So each person had part of the poem, and they had to say their word when their clock hand hit a certain way, and then they cued the musicians. So it wasn't that the music was set and then the actors were singing on top of it. Tried to upset that. And then
that sounds really cool.
I thought it was pretty cool. And then
bring it back.
Yeah, people have asked.
Wow.
It takes a lot of work.
It does. Yeah. But that sounds fabulous though.
I was pleased with it. It was successful. Because it had to do with cooperation and fighting. Because the whole opera started out where these boxes were scattered around, and each of the singers had to find the box with their symbol. There was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 written in symbol form on the boxes, and they had to find their symbol and put it in a column. And then they would get into a fight and knock it down and stuff. So at the end, it turns into cooperation. So,
wow, sounds great.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I've.
And then did you? I mean, this all sounds very creative and geared towards improvisation. Were you ever like a straighter musician, having gigs like in an orchestra, reading and that kind of stuff?
My most gigs that I haven't set up that I was hired for were casuals.
Oh.
So playing for weddings and parties.
Yeah.
So I'm playing classical music, simple jazz tunes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pachelbel's canon.
Yeah.
You know, I used to joke I love playing funerals because that's the only time we got to play minor stuff. You know, but actually no, it's really true because I've played several funerals where people are all, you know, they're trying to deal with their grief or what happened or whatever, and the honor I've accepted to bring in that flute melody and just breathe and let the energy change to give them the space so they can cry or be sad for a minute and not have to take care of all the planning and organizing and whatever else is going on. Music's
Nice.
beautiful that way.
Have you ever played for someone's death?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As, you mean someone I know?
No.
Oh, you mean someone while they're dying?
Yes.
Well, kind of, sort of. I played for my dad while he was dying. And it's so weird because, I mean, if you watch the end of that Ermintrude thing,
Yeah.
she plays the opening concerto and Professor goes, I heard one wrong note. And the girl goes, well, did you hear the 115 right? And I got that literally from my dad. Because one Christmas we were just playing around and my niece was dancing and I was playing and we were having a good time, and afterwards he goes, I heard the one wrong note. And I'm like, oh, well, did you hear the right ones? And so when he was dying, I was playing some flute for him, and he was past vocalizing. He wasn't conscious anymore, and he twitched, and I was like, then I thought, oh, he doesn't like it, and so I stopped. I was like, oh, I'm bothering him by playing. And then in past I thought, well, maybe he liked it.
Yeah.
You know, after time went and I got past my ego, I thought, you know, maybe he wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So, who knows?
I know. Those moments are, yeah, I know.
Yeah. But he was all supportive of music.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in high school, he brought me a Paul Horn book and what other Paul Horn. He brought me some other jazz things, I think.
Uh-huh.
And I brought him into my lesson, and my classical flute teacher was like, oh, yeah, that's not worth it. Don't, you know. I'm like, what? And I always wanted to play jazz, and then my band teacher in high school wouldn't let me be in the jazz band unless I also played sax. But I'm like, I don't want to play sax. I want to play flute. So finally, the third year, he let me in the jazz band playing next to the first trumpet player. Talk about ego.
God.
And so I learned how to transpose really quick because I wasn't going to write out all the tunes.
Yeah.
Because basically I played them a step down, octave up. So it's like, okay, too much work to write them out. I'll just learn how to transpose. So it's funny how things help us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've played for churches,
Yeah.
synagogues.
Yeah.
A lot of ceremonial stuff, I'd say. Yeah, I kind of feel I've been the court musician of today's church and courts. Played in I'm not much of an orchestra player. I've played a little bit, but I'd say I don't like authority. But I'm in the...
Don't tell.
I've played in the flute orchestra. I've played in quintets, so... Yeah. Let's see what people say.
Yeah, and you're on All Music. I don't know if you know that.
What's All Music?
All Music, I'll just show you. I'll show.
On a thing?
Well, All Music is a platform that you can actually add or subtract from this yourself. But so here's your credits. Here's there's overview. There's the discography, which this just lists 2. There's songs. There's a bunch of stuff. Oh, Stephen Nachmanovich is there. And credits. So this is...
Oh, wow.
Sometimes they're not all accurate, so you might want to check this.
Yeah.
But Well, Vitigolia, Stewart,
Yeah.
Harris, Eisenstadt,
That's
Yusef Lateef.
uh-huh.
Are you on the Yusef Lateef record?
It's Organic Go Orchestra with Adam Rudolph, Yusef Lateef.
Oh,
is
I
on-
see.
Yeah,
I
it's
see.
part of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and Stephen Nachmanovich, and so you can add
Oh,
to this.
interesting.
Yeah. So that's actually quite a nice.
Oh,
I mean,
thank
it's-
you for letting me know about that.
Yeah, Dan always supplies my that area, which is great. And let's see. Joy says, she's the artist. Bring on the laughter and joy. Taking oneself too seriously is like dumping a bucket of ice water on your head and all those around you. When the joy goes out of the music being made, time to move on to a more joyful manifestation.
Yep. Yeah.
And Roland, isn't the main drive of forward movement in musical improvisation the total abandonment, quote unquote, of what you just uttered and totally focus on the future musical tones? Yeah. I had a teacher at Queen's College who in sight reading would force us to look ahead and not look back on the written notes. By putting a cardboard
Yeah,
and
I do
blocking.
that. Yeah. Blocking the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's a good way
interesting.
to teach people
yeah.
how to read ahead. I do that too.
Yeah.
As a teacher. Yeah.
And Taylor Hatch, who's one of my friends who shows up here a lot. He asks very thoughtful questions. He's a guitarist at Texas, University of North Texas.
Okay.
And he said, here's one of his questions. Ellen, outside of music, what helps you channel your inner creative center? And do you practice mindfulness to help you be present?
I don't have I have had at times a more regular meditation practice,
Yeah.
but as far as mindfulness, I think that's kind of more of a daily thing, don't you?
Yes.
Rather than a
And one thing.
practice. I think I'm aware of it. I think I'm aware of, am I in the moment of what I'm doing? Like when I'm making jewelry, I had to wear some of my jewelry,
Very
my earrings.
pretty, I
Thank you.
noticed.
They're flute keys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And they go beautifully with your necklace.
Thank you. Yeah, this is from Peru.
Beautiful.
Thank you. So when I'm working on my jewelry, it kind of creates these two thoughts about joy and mindfulness. If I'm sanding, polishing is a lot of repetition, right?
Yeah.
So I think love, joy, peace, hope, or whatever. When I catch myself thinking, oh, I've got to get this done because I have to produce it, I just stop. So I think that's mindfulness in a way.
Yeah.
When I'm practicing, I've come up with different ways to practice so that I'm always present and not just doing it.
Like?
Well, first of all, I set the timer for 10 minutes. So I pick a piece or whatever I'm working on, 10 minutes. And so I have 10 minutes. And when it's done, if I want to work more, I can. If not, I do these things called creative combos. I always try and get classical people to improvise because they're so afraid of it. That's why I came up with the ink bops, because it's, well, not why, but that's use it because it's black on white. So classical musicians are used to seeing black dots on white paper, right?
Yeah.
And they just sing go high and low, so it helps them out. But the creative combos, you just take, if it's a difficult technical passage, you take it and you change the order, the articulation, the length. You know, the only thing you can't do is jump forward, but you could jump back. So you just use the pitches to come up with new kind of melodies, and I like to try not to land on the same thing. I'll put if a passage is triplets, I'll try and make it 4, do polyrhythms. I'll if it's intonation like you heard with the Senba Zuru, I'll play with alternate fingerings to change the pitch around.
Yeah. So this is in reply to channeling your inner creative center.
I guess so. To keep it mindful, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the 10-minute thing really helps.
That's cool. I'd like to just try and do a few minute improvisation with you.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah,
I brought all my flutes. We were going to do it.
I mean, this is
All
a
right.
first for me online.
Woohoo!
Although I do this thing called prayer improv. Now I also have to go to the bathroom before we do this, so I'm going to let you be online
All
taking out your stuff so
I'll
you
show
can
everybody
talk
all my
to everybody.
flutes.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Hey, everybody. So I brought all my flutes because I think everybody knows all the flutes, but I know that you don't. So this is now a flute case, which is like, it used to be so easy when it was just the C flute. Now I have these, and also when I'm playing with Andrea Centazzo and the West Coast. Oh, that didn't show up on All Music. Andrea and the West Coast Chamber Jazz Trio. He got me back into using effects, and I've played with my husband having effects, and I play with Dave Williams with effects. So I'm going to take them out of order. Here's an alto flute. This is she doesn't make this one. I don't know how many of these she made. She doesn't make this one anymore. It's a boutique flute maker, Eva Kingma. She's a Dutch flute maker. And this is a wide bore alto flute with open holes. So I can do, let me see if it's lined up. I can do some cool things. It's kind of more of my improvising alto. My other alto is a Yamaha alto, and that's just better, better technique. So I use this flute for Sambazura. So I can do quarter tones with that.
I love.
Let's see how we're going to put
Beautiful.
everything. Now the other flute
Look at that. I'm going to sneak in.
Sneak in. Oh, wait.
Can I sneak in?
No, I have to come out.
Huge.
I know. It's like.
Is this a creation of your own or no?
No, this is a a famous case maker. I was with Andrew Pask, the clarinetist. We were at Oracle last week, and we were doing. He called it case porn. It's a British case maker, Weissman. I forgot his first name, but yeah, he does these round cases, and it's really cool because it fits on carry-on, so I can carry all my 4 flutes on carry-on.
Nice.
Yep. And I haven't ever had any problems with it, so so you guys.
This is
all
my
have to-
flute. This is my elementary school flute.
Woohoo!
Student Gemeinhardt. I still have a bit of an embouchure. Yeah, I got it. I got the pads, redone, and I even took a class from Lori Bell, but I didn't continue during the pandemic. I want to.
You didn't continue with classes or playing?
Well, I didn't continue with. Well, I haven't played since college. I went to college for flute at Berkeley.
You did?
Yeah, because they didn't have voice at the time there.
Oh wow!
So, and I had been playing flute for a few years. So, but I kind of stopped, and then I just never really picked it up again. Which I think I'd like to have an alto flute, but I just never. I didn't want to spend the money to buy an alto flute and then have it sit in the case, or you know what I mean. But I think if I had an alto flute, I might have played more.
Well, it's never too late to start. I mean, you could, and the thing
You heard that, right?
The thing is, you could always try an alto, and if you didn't like it or you weren't using it, you could always sell it.
Yeah. Oh God.
This is a bass flute. I have to.
Come on. And you know how hard it is to play the lower, right? The lower flutes.
Yeah.
It's hard because you have to continue the air, but you can't blow too much air, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Takes a certain softness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I would never. This is a Kingma bass too. I thought I would never play bass flute, but she was like at one of the flute conventions. She was like, "Try this flute."
So beautiful.
Yeah, And so then I went to her studio.
Is that like a B?
C.
C.
Mm-hmm, of course. Let me see why the
Oh,
black
it's
key's
so
not
nice.
working.
Oh,
That's why.
it's got such big keys. Wow.
I know. It's not sealing. That's something to fix when I get home. All right.
Yeah, the mouthpiece is a little. It's different. It's a little bigger or something than the others.
Embouchure plate, you mean?
Yeah. Or it's
probably
shaped,
a little bit.
It looks like it's shaped differently.
Yeah, it's got that flat side. This the alto, I think maybe it's a thing of hers. The alto does it too. Because on these bigger flutes, you almost blow down a little bit more, like
Yeah.
shakuhachi.
Yeah.
I think it helps you direct the air.
Oh, interesting.
Now, I'd let you try my alto. I didn't know if you wanted to play. I should have brought my other one if I knew you wanted to try alto. That doesn't have the holes.
Right. The
Peop-
holes. The
yeah.
holes actually make it harder. Well, let's say more challenging.
Right.
I hate that word harder. But yeah,
Yeah,
more
yeah.
challenging. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun.
I bet a lot of people have never heard me do that.
Yeah, good. Get a new side of Cathy. Good one. Yeah, I have something at home where I have these braced up because it hurts my thumb.
I saw that on your gig.
Oh yeah.
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 She had a stand that she actually laid the flute on the farther side of the flute, laid it on the stand.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. Is that a common thing?
A lot of people have stuff like that for the bass flute.
Yeah.
Some people don't. Some. I think I'm one of the few people that do it for the alto, but it bothers my thumb.
Yeah.
And I find that if it's steady, I can actually have more purpose.
She can be on purpose.
There you go.
Let's see. What are people saying? Well, first of all, they love your case.
Nice.
Yeah, Roland, that's true. Roland has 13 guitars in his room and closet, but he doesn't play anymore.
Doesn't play anymore?
Well, he probably plays a little, right, Ro? But he said I'm on flute like he is with guitar. Yep, love the tension tones you're creating. Yep. Is there such a thing as contrabass flute?
Oh yeah. And there's a subcontrabass, and
Whoa.
there's the flutes go as low as the piano, and with piccolo all the way up as high as the piano. The LA Flute Orchestra.
Yeah.
We have a webpage. You could see some of the flutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a subcontrabass and a which goes. So here's a bass.
Yeah.
The contrabass is an octave lower than this, and the subcontra is 2 octaves lower. It looks like a big 4. So Los Angeles Flute Orchestra, if you wanted to Google that, give a shout out to them.
That's so you're in this, and
There we go. So see the Roland So, the third from the left, that's a subcontra flute.
Oh, Jesus.
And then if
Wow.
you go
Robbie.
2 gentlemen back, that's a contrabass flute. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, just curious.
There's Allie Ryerson, another jazz flutist.
Yeah, where
We
is she?
played-
Right here?
Yeah,
No.
that's Allie. Yeah.
God, it's been years since
Yeah.
I saw her with. Who was it? I'm pretty sure it was a guitar player who had changed his voicings. I think he was from the East Coast because I saw her and I was sitting next to my friend Barry Zweig, a great guitar player, and he knew me so well. We're listening, and I'm thinking, how the heck can I sing with this guitar player? Because he didn't live in L.A. And Barry leans over and he says, I bet you're wondering how the heck you can sing with this guitar player.
Nice, yeah.
And it's funny, but yeah, I was gonna. Is there? Oh yeah, so there's a little bit of a.
Yeah, I've done flute concerto for flute and orchestra with him, and alto flute concerto that Peter wrote. I've played with him. Yeah.
Are you in this?
Not in this one because I'm getting ready for my concerto for the next piece. But there you get to see the subcontra flute and the contrabass.
Look at that friggin' flute.
I know, huh? And that's between the two is a sub G flute. And
This one?
Yep.
This
and
one?
then there's a F flute, which is lower than the bass that the Joanne.
This is an F flute right here?
Yeah, I think it's called an F bass. Yeah.
So this is the contra.
That's a contra.
That's the
That's the G contra,
This
and
is
then
the
the
sub
sub
contra.
contra. Yeah.
wow.
This is at the Miles Playhouse in Santa Monica. Hopefully we'll play there again in the coming year when they open up post-COVID.
Wow, that's yeah, it's amazing. I knew a guy named Billy Kerr who used to come and
that sounds
sit in
familiar.
on my jam session. He was in a a saxophone group like this,
Yeah.
and the saxes went
Went low too. I know.
They
it's
were huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
It's crazy.
Yeah, really crazy.
And there's certain people who really like the low flutes. I'm sure that like the low saxes too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Really funny. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's.
There you go. There's bigger flutes than that.
Oh, Roland said, I wonder how many people are vocalizing along with this at home. LOL. Yeah. And Nora's throwing us compliments.
Nice.
And Roland wants to know if you're familiar with Ian Anderson, from Jethro Tull.
Well, being a teenager in the 70s, how could I not be? Yes. And I do a lot of, I'm really into singing and playing. I practice, I have 4. I have flute sound, flute with singing, and aggressive singing. Do you ever do aggressive singing?
I mean, I've fooled around a little bit, but I never really do it.
Yeah. When I first started doing that, I kind of went from the guttural click, what's called. I found that aggressive guttural was a lot more relaxing, and then I could move it up. But if I just tried to go, it didn't. It hurt too much. On one of what got me into that was on one of Adam's Go Orchestra's thing. He had some percussionists from Africa, and they were doing this cool thing, this in and out with the flutes. So I thought, if they can do it, I can do it too. So
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's really fun. I mean, because I never. I let it go. I worked a little bit on circular breathing.
Yeah.
But not enough to really use it. But
God, it must be hard with flute.
it is because there's no resistance.
Yeah.
Piccolo is easier. I don't even know if I could do it now because I haven't done it for a while. But the aggressive. You can.
You can create something.
Yeah, it's fun.
My boyfriend before I got married to Gary was a flutist, and but his flute playing it kind of hurt. It was like it must have been his intonation, but he he would always say, black people can handle this kind of sound, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's an excuse,
Yeah. I wonder what it was.
I think it probably was his intonation. Right? Because just right?
Yeah.
Just a little hair off.
I heard this funny thing. I love it. Again, I don't remember names well, but there was it was an interview with a country singer, and he thought he was off tune on this one song that he was recording, and he asked his manager, am I singing off tune on this? The manager listened to it, and he goes, no, you're just singing on the sad side of the note.
Well, intonation. Let's talk about intonation.
Okay,
for a
let's
second.
talk about intonation.
Because intonation is it's a very interesting thing. I mean, It's a lot to say about intonation. I mean, I always tell my students, here's the note, and let's see, here's here's the note,
Okay.
and you can be in the middle of the note, you could be on the top, or you can be in the bottom. So where do you want to be? I mean, it's one thing if your technique is determining, you know, I mean, in a bad way, you know.
Right.
So you don't want that.
Right.
You want good technique so that you can choose where you want to be. But then, you know, there's different scales, like the Indian scale, right? I mean, that's every, you know, like,
Yeah. How many quarter tones do they have?
Yeah.
24 notes or?
yeah, yeah.
Steve
so,
would know that. That's a Steve question.
So what do you have to say about intonation? Intonation. By the way, I think I was harnessing Stephen Nakamanovich, you know, on the
And the growling.
on
kind
when
of
we were
voice.
just yeah, exactly.
I was like, oh, does she not like what I'm doing? Is she doing the mad against what I'm doing because she's not like what her improviser was giving
I think
her?
I was harnessing Steve. Yeah. No, yeah, because he always does that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, la la, ka shaka.
Yeah. Intonation, that's a hard one. I remember. No, I don't want to go there. I'm not going to remember that. I tell people when they're playing in a group to imagine the sound is in between them. And that's the intonation rather than am I sharp or am I flat? Because if everybody's trying to reach for everybody else, I mean, with flute, I mean, probably the same with singers. I don't sing. No one's going to find it. But if you think of this like like an obelisk or a energy of the pitch, and you reach towards the center, then people get in tune. I mean, I love doing the harmonic work because it's so like, let me see. I'm not going to do G. There it is. Do you hear the subtones?
Yeah.
It's so off tune.
Yeah.
And I try and tune to the difference tones when I'm playing with other flute players or string players. I didn't quite, probably if we played together more, I would be able to hear our difference tones. But I find intonation challenging
Yeah.
myself.
You mean, and in what way? Because you seem to have great control over intonation.
Well, thank you. Oh, that's good. I work on it. I work with my tuner with dynamics. That's one of my 5-minute exercises. I made these 5-minute things.
You're so impressive.
I just had to figure out ways to keep myself interested and learn things I want to learn.
It's very impressive.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. So there's this intonation. I just practice. Haven't done it for a while. So it's good we're talking about it. I'll go and do it today. Different. Have my tuner on and just. I hope that was close. I think I was pretty close.
Did you all hear the subtle differences of that?
So.
Yeah. I remember at some point I was recording and I was just thinking, God, I am just flat so much, and recording tends to do that for singers anyway.
Oh, really? Recording tends to be,
tends to, you don't hear yourself in tune, especially if you leave both headphones on.
Interesting.
And so I just started practicing sharp to get my ear reattuned, It was like, I'm comfortable with that sound.
With the flat sound.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same thing with like projecting and stuff. The sound for projecting flute, I remember in college, she would tell me that's a good sound. And I hated it. It was airier because I liked a darker, closer sound, which is fine if you're playing in a mic. So I don't have to worry about that. But when you're playing in front of an orchestra, you got to project, if you're doing that.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's a
being a
different-
wind instrument is extremely challenging. I mean, all instruments have their challenges, but a wind instrument, vocal.
I was going to say, it's like voice.
Yeah. I consider myself a wind instrument. So,
Okay, good.
and then breathing. I mean, so the embouchure is compared to the vocal cords. So there's different things you can do with the vocal cords, but you can't feel the vocal cords. So it has to be imagined, and the result has to be observed. And usually it's not in the moment. I mean, well, ideally you would record and listen, and then you could hear what other people hear. Because when you're singing,
Right.
you're actually hearing the inside of the instrument, partly. So that's why I can be comfortable with flat singing, because it feels good, and whatever I'm hearing sounds and feels good. So, there's a lot. I mean, right now I'm actually studying with several teachers, because I'm looking for something. My voice had been behaving badly, and this chronic cough.
Behaving badly,
Yeah.
I like that.
And the chronic cough hadn't helped.
Right.
So I started investigating different teachers.
Do you know Florence Riggs?
Yeah, I do. But these teachers come from different lineages. One comes from Seth Riggs, one comes from McCloskey, one comes from the somatic voice. I forget her name right this second. Jeannie Levitri, she's in the Midwest. And I had an earlier teacher who came from Shistroff and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so now you can, if you sit with several teachers and you listen to somebody singing, you can all agree what you hear.
Wait, if you listen, say again?
Let's say
If
you and
sit-
I are vocal teachers.
Okay,
Let's say you're classical, I'm me.
okay.
We listen to a singer. And we actually hear the same thing. We notice where they're weak, we notice where they're strong.
Okay.
Where they need help. However, you're a classical teacher, and plus you're you, and you have your own way of teaching, your own belief system, what works, and as I do. So taking from these different teachers, and it's very interesting. I mean, I don't know if it's correct or not. Maybe I should be sticking with one teacher, which I did for a while. But there's something in my nature that I want something. I want to see what other point of view exists, and I want to understand. And it doesn't seem to be totally satisfying to me to listen to one person. So that means I have to find my way in the balance of the information.
Yeah.
Because this person is saying something slightly different, and then this person.
Yeah.
But anyway, it all does breathing and use of air, which obviously you're using, right? So I noticed a little bit of your breathing, which was down lower, which is something that I believe in, and I'm just curious this is kind of a huge, broad question. What you think of breathing? You have some information. Okay.
I don't think I made this up. I think I heard it somewhere, but it works so good. And I want you guys online to try it too. When you take a breath, imagine your body is an umbrella and you're opening the umbrella. And it opens all the way around. It's not front, back, side to side. And it's not up here, right? Because the umbrella doesn't sew. That's a whole new thing I've been remembering. I forgot. I wish I remember where I got it. But You breathe like opening an umbrella. And then for us, we have to keep the umbrella open.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had one little student who was breathing up in her shoulders, and I was like, don't breathe like a toadstool. Don't breathe like a mushroom. Breathe like an umbrella. So that's
Now,
a big
regarding
thing.
the release of breath, I like to call it release more than pushing out, because pushing and that kind of image gets singers into trouble a lot.
Okay.
They start pulling in all kinds of tension muscles. So release, but really I think that there's those muscles that hold out,
The
hold out,
intercostals.
and then there's the muscles that come in gently, even gently. And then of course the air has to be continuous. I mean I show them the flute because it's good. It's a good visual. It's like if I don't blow air through the flute, there's no sound.
Right.
So I have to have air move through the flute to
Right.
get a sound.
Right.
And it's the same thing. This is the flute right here, and
Right.
here's the embouchure right here.
Yeah.
So there's
Interesting.
many different things, especially about the embouchure and around the embouchure for the, I'm calling it for that, but for the vocal, there's so many different pieces of information.
Oh, I bet.
And the McCluskey method is really about posture and relaxation of the muscles that are involved or shouldn't be involved in singing. That's actually what the McCluskey method focuses on. The tongue muscle is huge. And
I know, it's a lot bigger than most people think.
yeah, and in
Yeah.
singing it's really bad.
Oh, I
It
bet.
gets involved very badly.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I have to sing in this. Maybe after we turn this off, I'll ask you a few things. I have to sing in this little play I'm doing with a group rep. Christmas time, it's like the story of 3 Christmas songs: White Christmas, Jingle Bells, and Silent Night, and then a little bit of Dickens,
Ooh.
and the Scrooge. It's a fun little thing.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, so I have to sing All I Want for Christmas is My Two Front Teeth and Melakalakilaka.
Oh yeah,
I have to learn how to say that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So so breath and embouchure.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think of them? Do you have any thoughts of them traveling together in your thinking? Like they operate together. Obviously, I mean they have to. I mean, is there any kind of thoughts that you have along those lines?
I think of. I guess I haven't really thought about it for a long time. I think of embouchure as directing the air, not controlling it so much. Though it does give it the color if you want to get a little more brassy or whatever. And I think of the breath. I think of, let's say this is your lungs of air and this is your diaphragm.
Mm-hmm.
I just think of them always being connected. So I don't want that separation of the air to go in the diaphragm to be, when people say just hold your diaphragm down, I don't really believe with that because, you keep, in my opinion, you keep the intercostals open. That's, what, if I'm really working on breath control, I try to keep the intercostals open, but I let the diaphragm follow the release of the air and always have that certain pressure. So it's not, I think when I lose my breath, it's when I'm not, this connection is not there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
I think that's how I think about it.
Yeah. And I guess, like for me, my area of resonance, the rest of the flute is here.
For flute too. For flute too. It resonates in her head.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. I have
Okay,
to
go
just
for it.
Try a good note.
Well, you can't sit like that and play the flute.
I can't?
No. Sorry. Teacher comes out. Sorry.
See? McCluskey method for flute. Okay.
Okay. So let me ask you something. Pick a note and play till it cracks, so you can see how much air the flute will take. How much air will the flute take? Keep going. Blow, 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 blow. More.
You mean
You can be loud. You can be forte. Just think. I need it to be not a controlled forte. Just see how much air the flute takes. It takes extra air. There you go. There you go. There you go. Now, be just on the other side of that. You can be loud still. You're crunching. There you go. Now you can make that sound softer. So feel how. Now, good. Now see if you can make that resonance. Feel the flute taking that air, but be softer. So you need more pressure in your belly. There you go. That's a better soft sound.
it's funny because I always think of my singing as playing the flute, but I don't think about my flute as being my singing.
Oh, there you go. There's your takeaway.
Now that might actually get me more into playing the flute actually.
Great.
Because it's because they're one and the same.
They are. You know, when I play pop songs, or I teach if my students are learning that, I tell them to play the words. Yeah. Tell them to play the words. Yeah. And, you know, once I was playing, I didn't know any klezmer music, and I was having to play for a wedding. They wanted Jewish songs, so all I knew was Fiddler on the Roof. I had that. And so I was playing Do You Love Me? And I don't know if I had ever heard it before. And so, like I said, I'm playing the words, and I'm like, oh, and I'm crying. But the tears, it was just flute solo. I tilted my head so the tear dripped off the side. It wouldn't stop the sound. I was like, oh, it's so sweet. But yeah, play the words. Yeah, play like you're singing. Excellent.
Well, I'm sure that we're actually over, which is so weird. Yeah.
Oh, my. I didn't think 2 hours would be so fast.
It's so much fun, isn't it?
It is.
And especially having you here, it was really good.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day to drive, too.
Hi, Judy Silvano. Mwah. And Judy Silvano is an improviser, and she's a great singer. And
nice.
She's also a painter.
Uh-huh.
She was also part of the Loft, the New York Loft scene. Her husband is a great sax player named Joe Lovano. And so you guys, you had some great, beautiful things. And Ellen, can you throat sing?
Not really. No, let's say no.
There, that's it. Anyway, Judy, Ellen and I improvised earlier, so yeah, you should check it out.
Just fun.
ELLEN BURR, ladies and gentlemen. Yay!
Thank you. Cathy Segal-Garcia.
This was really fun. I really should.
Really fun.
Yeah. I should have more people over to do this, but you know, it's LA or it's Brazil or France or whatever. I mean, they can't come all the time.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm glad I came.
Me too.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
You're
this
welcome.
was fun. Yeah. We'll have to go have lunch and talk even when we're not on camera.
I know. We're also going to go to this interesting restaurant, the Raw.
Oh, Matu. The steak place?
Raw steak, which I can handle, and apparently Ellen can handle. And
yeah, sorry, vegans.
See, my husband could never.
That would it's not all raw, but it's not wasabi. What's it called? That fatty steak.
Oh,
begins with a wa sound.
I forget. Wama.
I don't know.
We'll
go there.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody, wanna? We'll
join
report.
Yeah.
And then so this week, Thursday through Sunday, gonna have the archives. Ron Satterfield, who's a really, really good singer and guitarist from San Diego. Larry Dunlap, great piano player from San Francisco, who not only accompanied people like Cleo Lane, and his wife is a really good singer, but he also He wrote, he put together one of the Hal Leonard Great American Songbooks, like with the really good changes. That was him.
Oh.
And so he's cool. And then Billy Red Thedford, who's great singer in LA, and he sang with Andre Crouch, but he also was like a big contractor for studio singing in the old days. Really good singer, just kind of you go, you know. And then Sunday, who is Elizabeth Contamanu, who I just saw in France, in Paris. She's earthy, incredible singer, kind of along the lines of, but not so Brazilian, but along the lines of Flora Purim. You know, kind of this earthy, really talented. You know, her personality is like a person you want to hang out with. You know, she's just really cool. A great singer. So she's on Sunday. And then next week we have a few interesting people, some from Europe, Simone Gubiadi, guitarist, and André Chalier and Benoit Cerise, and then Calabria Foti and Bob McChesney too. So, you know, we keep going. And we're approaching 500.
Oh my gosh.
Today is 496.
Wow. You don't have a day off?
Yeah, well, on the archive days. I just
Okay.
put the archives. It's not exactly a day off, but
Okay.
all right, ladies
Okay.
and gentlemen, love you all.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Keep playing music.
Oh, by the way, we didn't even talk about Ellen's art page, which is your jewelry. Is it on your site or your regular?
I don't know if you can get to it by my site. I forget. Flutejewelry.com. Flutejewelry.com.
Jewelry. That's how you spell jewelry.
Yeah.
.com.
Yeah. And you can find out how to reach me if you want something made to suit you.
Yeah, and before we leave, as long as we're running late anyway, I'm just going to show. Oh, here it is. Yep, I can just go there. And
Oh, it came right up. Cool.
this is Ellen's jewelry.
Out of flute keys.
Did you actually make that? What
Yeah,
is
that was a wax carving. That's a ring. That's a
Oh.
ring. And the two to the right from that was in the Lark books of 500 pendants.
This? right
Yeah,
here?
those are caged porcelain.
Wow.
It's little tiny 1/4-inch porcelain pieces that I fired and then put in a fire pit to get the different colors. Yeah, so
This
that's
is all beautiful,
Thank
really.
you.
So a lot of what she uses is flute pieces, right? You just collect old flutes?
no
or...
flute was harmed to make this jewelry. I got some flute pieces from Ava Kingma, the woman whose big flutes I play, and I have a caster in LA who casts them in solid sterling silver.
Wow.
Yep, so everything
How long
is...
have you been doing this?
Oh, the first piece...
Look at that. Wow.
Isn't that gorgeous? That is those are the pearl chips called I think they're called kishi. I'm not for sure. They're the chips that come off around when you have a pearl out of its shell. Those are the chips around it, which I think
Wow.
are just gorgeous. Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
Thank you.
And I mean, just there's so much. You're just
Where's my original things? Didn't they show up on that page?
well, let's see. I'm scrolling down.
Yeah.
So the pendants, the earrings,
Yeah.
the
Maybe
bracelets,
Yeah.
pearls,
Yes.
flute rings,
Yeah.
flute gemstones,
It's
flute menswear,
Yeah.
flute
There,
limited edition.
That's what I want. you
This
to-
one?
One, yeah, I guess so. However you get there. I don't even know my own website. They didn't show up yet. I put them up there. Oh man, maybe you have to go to my Etsy store. I better
That's
take.
gorgeous.
Thank you. Those are kazuri beads made from a woman's collective in Africa.
Wow. That is really beautiful. And
Yeah.
the what's holding it together is
Those are it's silver sticks I made, and it's a woven. It's like a basketry technique
beautiful.
with gold filled wire.
wow, that's
Thanks.
really beautiful.
Oh, there they are.
The signature collection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, what did I call it? There,
You
they're
called
there.
it
They're
the
there.
signature collection.
Yeah, those are one of a kind pieces.
And now, what do you mean?
There's
What the
more.
other? I mean, the other
I can make more
ones
than
are
one.
not one of a kind.
Yeah, I can make more.
In the exact same style.
Yeah.
But these you can't.
No. These are, I got tired of making the same thing, so I made a whole bunch. The top right is the tiny trill keys that makes the cross. And then underneath it is a medallion with black tourmaline, crystal. And I use everything as a real gemstone. And, the steampunk pendants. And then my diachroic glass.
What's diachroic?
It means that it's that's the name of the hand glass when people they make I don't know what's the name of it.
The style, like they put something inside, or
I think so.
yeah, okay.
It's
These are so
fused.
beautiful.
Thank you. I
Might
thought I
have-
had 3 steampunk pendants. I wonder where the
I
third
love
one
this
is.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Oh well.
Might have to get one, ladies and gentlemen, for Christmas. You know, just
You're
might have to
sweetie.
happen.
You're sweetie.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we really are going.
Okay. See you.